Howdy again, folks. Well, it's been a productive evening. It's hard to see, I'll show this in a later video, but tonight I notched out the back and I machined the sides down. When I first made this piece, I made it to 3¼ inches wide. Then I reread the part of the book that says it's only supposed to be 3 1/8, and that dimension is pretty critical because that sets the dimension for the ram and the ram slide and all that kind of thing. So anyway, I machined the edges down. I took a 1/16 of an inch off each side, so it's exactly 3 1/8 inches wide all the way down, and the back is notched for clearance for the yoke, the thing that actuates the ram to go back and forth. So I got all that done, and then I cut the piece of cold rolled steel, 3-inch wide cold rolled steel, to 8 inches, smoothed the top and bottom cut portions. I did a little initial layout. It's a little difficult to see, but you can, just a general layout about where the holes ought to be. I did the math on, well, I also set the DRO on the vise jaws, both this jaw and back here, so that I can use the DRO to lay out the holes, drill, tap, and countersink the holes for the flathead screws that are going to go in there. So the one thing I wanted to do with all this care and attention to the dimensions, I used something. I haven't shown this tool. I'm not sure if I've ever shown this. Maybe, I know I used it in the initial stages of working on the locomotive. This is a very nice depth gauge. This actually is, what brand is this? Starrett makes these. This is a Lufkin. And I either got this off eBay or in a box of tools that I bought from a machinist. And I'll just say, if you ever get a chance, if I find a machinist that's selling a box of tools for a reasonable price, you're going to get gems like this in there, and it's well worth it. These things pay for themselves, and it's wonderful to have. So I measured everything carefully, and I needed the overhang here to be exactly 1/2 inch. So I set the 500 thousandths on the thing. I locked it in with this rule, and then I carefully, well, first I cleaned off the metal surfaces with that nail polish remover, the acetone, and I put a little of the it's called Super Weld that JB Weld makes. It's basically crazy glue. I put a little smear of that on there, and then I would just gently set the plate down, and first I roughed it into place using these 1/2 inch squares and got it within a couple thou actually, and then I was able to use the Lufkin gauge there, Lufkin depth gauge, and just tap the edges, tap it over. As soon as I had it perfect, or near close to perfect, I put the clamps on lightly. I double checked everything, made a few final taps, and I'm good to go there. So I'll let the crazy glue dry overnight, and I'll set the DRO to 0, 0, which will be that corner of the, I can stick my phone back there, this corner of the vise is what I indexed off of. So, and everything, the back of, or the bottom of the column is indexed against that. The bottom of the plate is up against the bottom of the column. So I'll be able to step it over here. I can show you the dimensions later, but here and do my row of holes, and then to this side and do my row of holes there. So I'm all set for some drilling, tapping, and countersinking tomorrow. And thanks again for watching. I'll keep y'all posted.